Be the Pyrenees Mountains. I know they're not too far away and there's snow on the tops of them, and this wind feels like it certainly has a snow edge about it. But the Australians out on the field, so are the French team just being introduced to the crowd at the present time. The Australians moving around, trying to warm up their muscles. At least it is a lot warmer than it has been for some of the last couple of games in France. About a few degrees warmer, and this game being played in the day rather than at night. The other day, we had half of the Australians on the field wearing tracksuit pants, another 3 wearing gloves, and one of the men on the field that day was Alan Langer. Alan, at least it is a little warmer today.
Well, that's right, and at least they're playing at the daytime too. There's no tracksuit pants out there, as you say, so the boys are out for a big entertaining match, I'd say.
How was it the other day? I think you were one wearing tracksuit pants.
Yes, there was a lot of us wearing that, and especially the headbands. They come in handy to keep the ears warm as well.
We've got to hold our notes here because the wind is blowing right through this grandstand. We're just sitting amongst the crowd, and the notes blew away a moment ago and landed amongst some of the fans who handed them back. But looking at this French side, it does appear to be considerably stronger. They've got 3, or in fact 2 test players back in the lineup, Guy Delaunay and Thierry Butenol. Delaunay in the centres and Butenol in the front row. They were hoping that Jean-Bernard Saumeteau would be back. He's another experienced player, hoping that he would come in at lock forward, but he wasn't able to overcome the injury problem. And so they've had a late shift in positions in the back row with the second row now, Daniel Divé, who played in the first test in the second row, but alongside him will be Francis Lopez. And at lock forward now is Daniel Verdet, who played in the second row in the first test. Saumeteau out, so the second row pair now is Divé and Lopez, and at lock forward is Daniel Verdet. Also, the change in the centres with Guy Delaunay coming in alongside Serge Brett. Dennis Bienz has been dropped to the bench, and Delaunay is quite a sharp, experienced customer, a lot of ability, and so all up this French side does look as if it'll be a more formidable combination, but Alan, still the Australians should be far too good, we expect.
Yes, I think so, mate. They've been playing very well, and you know, the first test they scored quite a few tries, and I think they're going to run a lot more in today.
The Australian national anthem sounding and the crowd on their feet. The Gilbert Brutus Stadium in Perpignan, hearing Advance Australia Fair. The crowd today, I would say around the 3,000 mark again, not many more. The 2 stands are fairly full, but it doesn't hold a huge number of people. Acknowledgement from the crowd for Advance Australia Fair. And there's the lineup for Australia. Bob Lindner back in the second row. Now the French national anthem. Those French players hearing the Marseillaise may find the inspiration today to salvage some pride after the first test. And that's what the crowd wanted to hear, the French national anthem. And the players now just about ready for this test match to get underway. The first test actually started 4 minutes before the appointed time. Today it looks as if we'll be pretty close to right on time for the kickoff of this match. But again, just running through that French team, David Fraise, the 5'8" in the first test, will be playing fullback. And then Bouzer and Pons on the wings with Delaunay and Brett in the centre. The 5'8" will be the lock forward, Jacques Moliner, the lock forward from the first test, but we may see Jacques Moliner, a fairly strong defender, trying to get up quickly on Cliff Lyons and keep him quiet. The halfback, the very skillful Patrick Ontoa, who played so well in the first test. The front row contains a couple of changes with Marc Tesser, who was in the first test bench list, but then came on and played quite strongly. And alongside him in the front row will be Thierry Butenol. And we saw Butenol playing for France B. Alan, you might remember he's a burly player, quite a big chest, and he showed a few ball skills as well as a bit of strength.
Yeah, well, that's right. But he's going to have to play well today to get on top of these Australian forward pack. They're a big and mobile pack, and the French side are going to find it very tough against our side.
Do you feel that the Australians are well and truly motivated for this game? It seems to me that everyone's winding down towards heading back for a couple of days in Singapore and then home.
Well, that's right. Everyone, we've been here for about 11 weeks now, so, you know, one more day in France and we're back to Singapore on our way home. So I think the boys will just want to go out on a good win here today and have a good time in Singapore, and everyone happy to get home.
Mal Meninga coming up for a word with the referee, John Holsworth from England, and we're about to have the toss, and the halfback, Patrick Ontard, the French captain, comes up as well. Just looking at that crowd, you can see that the people are fairly well packed in for warmth, if for nothing else, but as I said a little while ago, only about 3,000 people, and in fact, there is us, Alan Langer and Warren Boland, amongst the French crowd at Perpignan. So out in the centre, the toss made, and it looks as if the French have won it. Ontard making a decision, and looks as if he's elected to run into the wind in the first half. France, yes, France have decided to run into the wind, and I think that was the tactics from them in the first test as well.
Well, that's right, and well, they'll have the wind in the second half, and you know, hopefully they won't be down by too many points in the first half, so you know, it'll help them in the second half.
It's going to be very important for the French players to tackle strongly in this first 15 minutes. They've got to get a foothold in this test.
Well, that's right. They can't afford to let Australia get too many or a couple of tries early, and if they do that, Australia could, you know, get up to the 50-point mark.
And this is about a 20-point at least wind behind the Australians in the first half. Interesting to see if they play it down the French end as Mal Meninga gets us underway. Bouncing in the in-goal area and picked up there by Daniel Verdet. The lock forward, played second row in the first test. I thought played quite strongly, both second rowers for France in the first test. Cliff Lyons moving up quickly in defence as France try and ruck it out of their own territory. Playing the ball, Francis Lopez. Now taking it up strongly is the front rower, Marc Tisser, gets to the 22. The crowd calling for the Australians to be penalised for being up inside the 5, but they appear to be back with the referee. Butenol playing the ball. Valero spins it out to Ontard, who's knocked over by Lazarus as he gets his kick away. Coming through quickly is Bouzer on Belcher. Belcher just ducking underneath him. Referee says play on. Bouzer obviously was onside, according to the referee, behind the kicker, though he got through very quickly. Now here's Bob Lindner back into the fray after missing the first test with a thigh muscle strain. And Bob very keen to get back into the action. He's been the best player on the tour for Australia. And here's another one, Glenn Lazarus, but he's had the ball stripped and quickly picked up by Divet. Gets it away to Molineux. He keeps it on the toe to Launay. Back to Molineux. Molineux on the inside there, but buried by Sirinen and also Brad Mackay. Only 35 metres out. Ontard quickly gets it on to Tisser. The burly Tisser. Bit of size about this front row today for France. They take it to the Australian 22. Valero in a dummy half. Ontard. Verdet heads across field. Lindner around the legs and Meninga over the top. Still 22 metres out. Ontard gets it away to Butenol. He's taken ball and all by Sirinen, flung to the ground. Right in centre field, 23 metres out. Valero switches the play to Molineux, cutting back across the ruck. He runs into Lindner and he drives him into the ground. Great tackle by Lindner and Sirinen. You wouldn't want to run into those two fellas very often. They work at the blind. Ontard straightens it up. Popping the kick through, flying through. Bouzer has the ball. Belcher manages to make a great tackle. It's the 5th tackle now. France on the attack. Great work by Bouzer and Ontard. Up it goes from Ontard. The ball swinging in the breeze. Underneath is Shearer. Anyone's ball over the top towards Pons. Pons going back to regather. He can't get hold of it. Lyons comes through. Now Shearer has it. And the referee says play on with Shearer. Shearer down the touchline. Shearer sprinting down the line. But across comes the fullback, David Brace, to make the tackle. Australia escaping from their own goal area. Lindner, I should say Shearer, all tangled up with the ball. Long pass from Stewart out to Lyons. He picks up Meninga. Meninga turns on the pace. Back inside is Alexander. He can't get away from the tackle. Lyons keeps it going. Roach dummies to no one. Flings it out to Lazarus. But in comes DeVay. Good work from Lazarus to slip it away. Elias, Stewart, Mackay. Australia keeping the ball alive, and that's the way they want to play the game. France have got to contain the arms, stop the ball movement. Here's Ricky Stewart. 35 metres out now from the French line, but good early attack from France. Sirinen. Only 28 metres out now. Elias, Stewart, Lyons. Lyons has Shearer outside. Heavy tackle comes in from Gutenol. The tackle was Mark Tissere. And Holdsworth penalises Australia there. I should say penalises France with a high tackle coming in from Tissere. It looked to be a pretty strong one. I was a little surprised that the referee found fault with it.
Yeah, I thought it was only around the chest, but Dale Shearer down there on the ground, so it might have been a bit higher than we thought. But, you know, French have started off very keenly.
Let's have a look at it here as the ball comes out, and then this was a little earlier with Mackay going back into the centre of the field. It looked to be a very strong tackle from Tissere. It certainly shook Dale Shearer up, but I didn't think it was too high. So a chance for Australia now. They're just 20 metres out to take this tap. Elias calling for the ball. Stewart, Eddinghausen in from the wing. Eddinghausen, top try scorer on tour for the Australians. Down on the French 22. Lyons, Mackay inside. Just lost his footing as he may have seen Mark Tissere coming his way. Roach. Out the back, Belcher can't get hold of it. Limner was offside. Yep. What's the referee's ruling? Yes, penalty to France. Limner offside, the ball being touched just before it rolled forward. John Holdsworth signals very clear. Good early attack from France, particularly the use of the little kick by Ontard.
Well, that's right, and a very good tackle there by Gary Belcher stopped France from scoring. So there's, even in defence, the French are very keen.
The winger, Alain Bouzère, I'm not sure whether he's been onside both times, but he's got a lot of pace.
Well, that's right. And, you know, as I said, Gary Belcher just stopped him from getting a try in the first few minutes.
That would have given them some heart. Now it's France, midway between the quarter and halfway. Man down is Daniel Verde. Underneath him was Cliff Lyons. Valero trying to burrow his way towards the halfway line. Tissere spins it to the blind side. Ontard is stepping both ways. Strong tackle comes in on top of, well, I think that's actually that's Tissere wearing number 8. The program's wrong for the front rows. The kick stabbing through on the blind side, and Australia have it through Glenn Lazarus. I think the man who put the big tackle in on Dale Shearer was in fact Gutenol rather than Tissere. Lyons, Belcher, the goose step and away. Shearer down on the French quarter line. Alexander, a dummy half. Roach charges straight into them. Meet him there, Gutenol. Stewart, inside is Sirinen. Sirinen brushes off 2 tackles. Great run from Sirinen. Alexander has it. And still going, Greg Alexander, trying to escape from the tackle, only 9 metres out. Elias, Stewart, long ball for Lyons. Good hands from Cliff Lyons to flick it up. Al Meninga rushes away from 2. Lyons backing up, can't hang on to it. And Gerald Pond picks it off the ground. Long for winger, never going to lose ball. Very well offside. Valero takes them on. Referee Holdsworth now checks that Australia are back. None of the Australians who are offside came into the play. Verde trying to move the ball wide. Just a couple of metres short of halfway. Ontard runs around Valero. Out it goes to Tissere. He puts it on the ground. Ontard there again to back up. You must be impressed with Patrick Ontard, the halfback. He's a very busy player.
That's right. I played him in Parks in the first test in Australia this year, and he went very well in that game. And also I played him for Hull when we played Hull, and he's, you know, played 2 good games there. So, you know, and he was the best player for France in the first test. So France will be looking for him to have a big game today.
Scrum win for Australia. Brad Mackay stumbling forward a couple of metres. Lazarus. Good early resistance from France. A long ball from Elias to Belcher. Belcher finding an opening on the inside. Couldn't step through the cover defence that came across. Valero and Butenol. Bob Lindner on the burst. Great run from Lindner over the advantage line and still going. Plenty of strength from Lindner. He's only 12 metres out in front of the posts. Elias to Stewart. Plenty of overlaps on the outside, and the pass has gone behind Alexander. Trying to get the ball out to Belcher and Alexander quickly, but a loose pass, and the scrum will pack down. The chant goes up from the French crowd.
The crowd is certainly getting behind the French side.
Well, France can put a couple of early points on, or at least hold Australia. I think this crowd will give them a bit of encouragement. Bouzer in from the wing, taken well by Mackay. Dive heads towards the edge of the ruck. Once more the crowd up in arms, saying that Australia are inside the 5. And it is only a 5 metres from referee Holsworth. Molyneux cut down by Lazarus. Shearer there as well. On tar. Kicking back to the blind side. Eddinghausen going back to support Belcher. Belcher has Brett in front of him, and Brett makes the tackle on the halfway line. Serge Brett was one of the centres was the one centre who survived from last week's test. Dennis Bien's dropped to the bench. No points on the board. Roach has Meninga in support, but can't get away from the solid tackle of Francis Lopez. Long ball from Stewart to Lyons, and he decides to kick using the breeze really for the first time, but you can see how strong that breeze is. Really, Cliff Lyons just tapped that ball with his foot, and it continued over the dead ball line.
Yes, it was like that in New Zealand when we played the test there, but you know, they just got to afford to kick him slightly, because the ball's just going to run and run.
8 minutes of play, no points on the board. The strength of that breeze, Australia will have no troubles getting out of their own half, but they're going to have to be very delicate with the chip kicks in the French half.
Well, you saw with Patrick Hontack's kick, you know, the strong win there, he's not kicking them very long at all.
I think I might revise it from a 20-point win to something like a 30-point win.
That's right.
Dubé up the centre, gets a pass away to Verde. Verde looks inside, finds support there, but the Australian cover defence across, swarming all over the top of Delaunay, Guy Delaunay, and applause from the crowd. Good work there from the French once more, finding a couple of holes on the edge of the ruck.
Yeah, it was Daniel Dive there. He's playing very well, and certainly just a couple little mistakes are not helping France.
Australian scrum win with Belcher. Saw half an opening just on the outside of Molyneux, but couldn't get through it. Molyneux's defence at 5'8" will be tough. Here's a good kick cut through by Lyons. There's no fullback at home. It's Cliff Lyons and Daylight with Bouzer coming across. Inside is Mackay, and Mackay will step past Bouzer for a great try. Put that down to quick, concise thinking by Cliff Lyons. He realised there was no fullback at home and didn't make any mistake with kicking too far that time. Brad Mackay, the try scorer.
Yes, it was a great solo effort there by Cliffy Lyons, and it was, there he goes. A great pick-up, a good bounce for him. And to the man that backs up all the time, Brad Mackay, to go in for another try.
Plenty of green and gold jerseys arriving there in support as well. Alexander was one of them. Good try by Mackay. But, great thinking there by Cliff Lyons in a dummy half. Just popped the little kick through, regathered it well. And was really just open spaces. Bouzer, the winger, Alain Bouzer, came across trying to get to Lyons, but couldn't stop the support play. So Mal Meninga is going to take the goal kicks today, and this one is right in front. Some thought that Greg Alexander may take the kicks. And it bounces off the posts. Well, I thought that Mal Meninga with that one simply couldn't miss, but it's Australia 4, France 0 after 11 minutes of play.
Well, Mel hasn't been happy with his kicking form over here, so, you know, he probably just wants a few kicks today to try and change that around.
Well, I thought that maybe that one being right in front, he thought, well, if he'd thought about giving it to Greg Alexander, he thought, no, I'll take it and get my confidence up, but that would put your confidence at rock bottom, that miss.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who takes the next one.
Admittedly, most of Greg Alexander's kicks in the last few weeks have been right in front. France restart, the ball goes straight to Benny Elias, who is still carrying that rib cartilage injury, managing to struggle through the test and still play very well. Meninga. trying to thrust Ontar off, but Valero underneath is holding on to him. Stewart, Lazarus. One or two of the Australians have been suffering from the flu and a few coughs and colds around, but they seem to be okay today as Roach takes it up the middle. Elias to Lazarus. Molinaire holds on, ball and all. Dive coming in to add assistance. Holsworth signalling the 5th tackle. Up it goes from Stewart.
The linesman's got his flag up here, so something was done in the tackle.
Ontar loses it backwards, but regathers, and he's off. Patrick Ontar throws the dummy, but Suranen hauls him in. Now Paul Surinen's going to be called out. He looks as if he's signalling that he was bitten. Suranen lifting his hand, obviously showing that his finger has been interfered with in some way. Let's have a look at this closely. Ontar underneath Suranen. Surinen's hand, his left hand was somewhere near Ontar's face, but his right hand was right on top of it with a clenched fist. Let's have another look.
Yeah, you can't see whether he bit him or not, but he certainly got a good ride on him there.
Yeah, I'd say that Patrick Ontar would think that he is in Disneyland at the moment if he knows that much about it. That was a pretty solid punch that landed from Suranen. That'll be a blow to France if Ontar is badly injured. He's still down receiving attention. And as you said, even before that incident, the touch judge had his flag in the air as if he was going to report some incident.
Yeah, he had his flag up, and he was standing on the field for 10 metres in for about about 30 seconds. Then he put a flag down and got back onto the sideline.
Ontar's a tough customer. He looks to have recovered okay. He is the French captain. So France will look for touch through David Fraze. And he only manages to pick up 5 metres into this wind. 4-0 in favour of Australia after 14 minutes. A long pass from Ontar to Fraze, but Delaunay decides to step back into the defence. And over the top of him is Benny Elias. And Steve Roach is there as well. In comes referee Holsworth. And he's going to try and break them apart by saying that the Australians didn't clear the tackle player. Penalty to France. See the action there. Roach over the top, but Elias was the one really getting in a tangle with Delaunay. Roach keeping Delaunay away. Now here's a break from Verde. Up the field goes Delaunay. He has inside Bouzer. Great run there from Francis Loper, in fact it was, the second rower. Ontar spins it wide. Out to Molinaire. Cuts out Delaunay to Brett. Pons trying to get away from Cliff Lyons, throws it anywhere. Valero picks it up. One of the Australians held back a French player who was trying to get back to that ball. Molinaire makes a couple of metres. Tisser runs straight into the defence. Meeting him was Glenn Lazarus. 24 metres out on the 5th tackle. They switch it back to the blind. Ontar links up with Dive, away from Meninga. Dive still going. It's the last tackle and the ball's on the ground. And so that will be a turnover. Australia's ball.
Well, that was another good attacking 6 tackles by the French. And certainly from there, half of the field, they've got up into the Australian quarter.
Showed a little bit of variation around the ruck with Ontar switching it back to the blind. Now here's Limner. Bursting away from the tackles and still going is Limner. Finally took 4 players in the end to have a go before he was stopped. Roach to Stewart. Stewart trying to find Belcher, but Dive gets hold of him. Australia would do well to use this breeze. Lyons looms up. Inside is Belcher. And he's driven back, gets the pass away. Roach, quick hands to Lindner. Shearer. Shearer pushes away from Delaunay. Alexander. Over the halfway, almost to the halfway before his winger, Bouzer, got hold of him. Stewart. Lyons. Kicks through. Coming through is Meninga. Pons slow to turn around. Meninga steaming through. Fraze going back. The ball might beat them all. Fraze toes it over the line in the end. And Mal Meninga was steaming through on David Fraze. He just got to it in time. Once more, another good kick.
Very good kick there, Cliffy. He weighted it very well, and you know, the Frenchman had to kick it over the dead ball to disallow Mal Meninga steam charging onto the ball.
Cyril Pons, the winger, very slow to turn around, and Meninga went past him with ease. Good football by Frez, who is an experienced fullback. He played 5/8 in the first test, but it's not a position that he's comfortable with, so put back at fullback today, and he ended up covering that safely. Drop kicks off from a metre in front of the goal line, back to Ricky Stewart. Stewart goes across field, but met in a heavy tackle. That was Verde who had hold of him, and he makes another tackle. Daniel, in fact, that's Francis Lopez, I'm sorry. Sirinen. Australia starting to get some momentum moving now. Belcher. Lindner out wide. Meninga. Taken this time by Cyril Pons, who rides him into the ground. And Lindner just hobbling back on side. Lazarus. Bob Lindner looking across towards the bench on the far side. I think he may have hurt that leg again. Roach. Stewart with a little kick. Frez has it covered, but nowhere to go as he runs into the defence of Brad Mackay. Bob Lindner trying to stay up with the play, but I don't think he'll be on the field too much longer, and could be David Gillespie to warm up.
Yeah, he doesn't look too good there. He's hobbling around.
So France trying to work it out of their own territory. Butenol to play it. Fontar dummy half, working on the blind side. Steve Roach there in the way of Lopez. Valero dashes away from dummy half, gets it to the 22. Fifth tackle. Fontar. Fontar always thinking, but he's kicked out on the full this time. Just spearing the kick through low. Off the edge of his boot, so it's a turnover to Australia in a handy attacking position, and the Australian backs very deep, stretched right across the field. Lyons, Shearer, Meninga on the angle, back to Lyons, Belcher chiming in, but well read by the defence. Delaunay there, and Brett read it well. Lyons, Belcher, solid tackle, right over the top was Daniel Verde. The French are hitting well in the tackle so far, making them count. Here's Sirinen pushing away from Molyneux. Meninga is finding open spaces. Alexander. Lindner still going. Roach. He's lost the ball forward. Lyons picks it up, but it's play on. Play on, and the crowd don't like it. Mackay sends it inside to Belcher. Lazarus. That ball may have been knocked out of the Australians' arms. Steve Roach may have had it knocked out of his arms forward, according to the referee. Here's Elias. Elias going straight through. Pons can't get hold of him. Out it goes to Belcher. Inside to Shearer. He pulls it in magnificently. Can he get it down? Yes. Great try there by Shearer. Superb hands to pull that pass in. Gary Belcher also did well. Fine hands from Australia. Benny Elias, it was making the early break. Shearer finally completing the try, just getting over in the corner. And the French are arguing. Guy Delaunay having a few words to say about the try to referee Holsworth. No doubt about it. Let's put the try is on the board, and Australia lead 8-0. Here's the final moments once more with Belcher under pressure, flicking it inside as Dive came across to make the tackle. And then Shearer going for the corner with Pons there and Tisser. Looked like a fair try to me.
Yeah, I thought it was a fair try, and you know, it was three great ball movements there. Benny Elias, Belcher back into Shearer, and showed the skills of the three players.
Australia leading 8-0 after 20 minutes of play, and the crowd still are irate about that try. And I think what they're complaining about is the original knock-on back on the halfway when Steve Roach lost the ball forward.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, and I think it was a bit about the referee calling out a couple of the French players.
Bob Lindner is leaving the field while Mal Meninga will attempt this conversion from just 1 metre in from touch. And he's going to have to allow quite a bit for this wind. So this is a difficult one for Meninga. Few cans being thrown onto the field. Meninga pushes it well to the left and a long way off target. Allowed far too much. In fact, I don't really think that went where Mal Meninga intended, and I think we'll see Greg Alexander on after that boot.
Well, the crowd, you know, they're sounding very irate here.
And the referee is still talking to the French captain, Ontard. Well, it did appear that Steve Roach lost the ball forward. The only thought it was possibly a French hand had knocked it, but it did appear to be a knock-on. But nevertheless, it was good football from that point on by Australia. So the restart from Molyneux down to Sirinen, and the referee says that was okay. The crowd won't like that either, but it did come off the legs of Sirinen, it appeared. Back on the Australian 22. Someone said to me last week that when France in past years lose a test match by a long way, they usually turn on the biff. Well, it hasn't happened yet, but if this crowd keep revving the players up, we could see a bit of fire before the day's out. Ontard cops a boot as Roach lashed out in playing the ball. Here's Eddinghausen running off Elias. Eddinghausen will go all the way. Fraser's chasing. Fraser trying to haul him in, and a magnificent tackle, and he prevents the try. Superb tackle from David Fraser. For all money, Eddinghausen was going to score there.
Well, I thought he was around him, but the fullback never gave in, and that what shows never give in, and he pulled off a try-saving tackle.
That was a superb tackle here. Look at it again from David Fraser. Eddinghausen, no one has caught him all tour. He rolls him over on his back, got underneath the ball and prevented a certain try. Now France getting 6 more tackles. Another look at that magnificent save by David Fraser. The French fullback getting to Andrew Eddinghausen right on the line. And as the players came back to the 22, it was Daniel Divé looking towards the touchline and appealing to the touch judge that he had been interfered with, attacked in the face. Seemed to be the signal. There's a lot of feeling out there at the moment.
There is. I think it was for, you know, kicking in the tackle. I think it was down on the lines of the hands.
Roach and Tesser have a few words. Ontard kicks. Good kick into the ring, bouncing away from Belcher. Who's there coming through. Misses the tackle. Now it's Alexander. Clear space down the wing. No one in front of him. Tesser coming across. He won't get there. Can Fraser make another tackle? Fraser's missed Alexander this time. Fraser couldn't make another great tackle, and Alexander comes around behind the post to make it Australia 12, France 0. And Alexander. Whoa! I didn't know he had that in him.
Yeah, he said he was going to do that in one of the final games, and there it is.
Well, that was great reminiscent of some of the performances of the Great Britain winger. What's his name again? Who does the disco dance when he scores tries.
He scored in Sydney.
Just can't think of it, but that was spectacular by Alexander. And he's been rewarded with the attempted conversion. Standing up David Fraser, who was left grabbing at him as Alexander changed pace. And that was a great piece of work to beat the fullback. And Alexander comes around. Oh, and they've stopped the replay. The French director. Why didn't he show it to us?
He's taken the kick as well.
And now Daniel Divé is being sent to the sin bin for arguing. We might have a look at it this time as Alexander comes around. There he is, the head-on shot, beating David Fraser, who couldn't make it 2 try-saving tackles in a row. Alexander coming around behind the posts. Now Daniel Divé being sent to the sin bin, as I said.
Patrick Ontard still talking to him.
Ontard very angry because his side started pretty well, but now they're down by 12 points to 0 as the wind blows the ball off the mound. Alexander to attempt the conversion of his own try right in front of the posts. The flags are up and Australia lead by 14 points to 0, and France are going to have to regroup very quickly here because I thought they did start strongly, but all of a sudden they find themselves down by 14 points.
Yeah, well, that's right. A couple of tries always is a bit disappointing for them because now they're 1 player down, so they'll have to put an extra effort in.
And now it's Serge Brett who's saying a few words to the referee, giving his opinion of the proceedings. The real trouble for France has been the breaks being made so easily around the ruck. We've seen Benny Elias slice through twice. A restart from Jacques Molyneux. Stewart gives it to Sirinen, and here he comes right at the French defence, but that's a good tackle by Thierry Valero, who played for the rest of the world against Great Britain 2 years back. Lazarus, and around the legs. Good tackle there from Daniel Verde. Gillespie, who's come on to replace Lindner, and he's lost the ball, knocked down, and then France regathering.
I thought it was a knock-on by France then.
Serge Brett picking it up. Tessere to play it. Utenol heads back into the forwards. Taken well by Brad Mackay. Valero works the run around with Ontar. The pass to no one. Uzair picks it up. He's taken by Cliff Lyons.
Ontat's down on the ground again.
Verdes. It's the 5th tackle. 35 metres out from the Australian line. Ontar's back on his feet. Molinaire runs around Delaunay. Brett loses it behind him. Meninga has it. He can't hold on to it. The referee says play on as France get it back. Well, surely that was a scrum and knock on both ways.
Yes, I thought it was, but that's the way the English referees referee the game. 2 knock-ons and
play on the advantage.
Yes.
So it's France in possession. Still midway between the Australian quarter and halfway. Utenol goes to the edge of the ruck this time. Penalty against Australia for a high tackle.
I think it was Glenn Lazarus there he's calling in.
David Gillespie and Glenn Lazarus, the men in the tackle, and Utenol is down. He's already got the penalty, so we can assume that he is injured. Utenol missing from the first test. Here it is with Lazarus coming in just a little high into the neck, I suppose, of Utenol. So fair decision by the referee. And because of the wind, this isn't within goal-kicking distance, even though it's right in front of the posts, about 30 metres out. Molinaire looks for touch. So here's a chance for France. 10 metres out. 12 metres on Tar takes the tap. Tessere heads into the forwards, taken there by Sirinen and Roach. Ontar works the blind. Verdes stepping back inside, runs into Roach and Elias. Only a couple of metres out. The French looking for their first try of the match. Ontar sends it out to the second row. Running onto the pass there was Francis Lopez. Ontar back through the middle goes Molinaire. Taken well by Mackay. Right around his legs. Stewart there too. Still only a couple of metres out. Ontar. Fraser's up in the line. Fraser can't get the pass away though. Well taken by Lyons. 5 metres out still. Ontar. Long ball. Molinaire to Tessere. They have some numbers here. Verdes keeps it going to Delaunay. Inside is Pons. Pons for the line and Pons will score. Pons has scored France's first try of the series, not just the test. And good football it was too, moving the ball wide. Delaunay turning the ball back inside and Pons on the angle, unable to be held by Gary Belcher.
Well, it was a great backline movement by France. They've been attacking very well since the start of the match, and now they've got the rewards with a try.
Good football. It's noticeable that wherever Ontar is, that's where the ball goes. He called for it, he cut out a man, got it to the open spaces, and then Delaunay, good timing to switch it inside to Pons, who positioned himself well, and Gary Belcher made the tackle but couldn't prevent the try. So it's Australia 14, France 4. And as we said, this is a very strong wind, and Australia has it at their back in this first half. And the man to attempt the kick is Mark Tessere, the front rower. Tessere from the Palmiers club. Was on the bench for the first test, but came on at half-time and played very strongly. And even the touch judges are jumping up and down, trying to warm up behind the posts. And the referee Holsworth is asking for one of the French players to come up and hold the ball to prevent it blowing over once more. And up comes Serge Brett to help out. Not only holding the ball, making sure he keeps right out of the way. I think he's done it before. Tessere, a difficult attempt. Hits it firmly, but it hooks around into the breeze, curving back into the breeze. Didn't hold up for him. So the score remains Australia 14, France 4, and we've had 30 minutes of play. Tries to Mackay, Shearer and Alexander for Australia, and then Pons hitting back for France. Alexander kicking it low with the wind to make sure that it does stay in the field of play. And it bounces for Fraser. Pushes off Mackay. Big Fenn sent Mackay underneath him. Bit of an elbow in it as well. Ball to be played by Verde. Just inside the quarter area with Valero now. He is met by Sirenen. On top, Butenol runs into some good defence once more from Mackay and also Gillespie. Pinning France inside their quarter. On top, long ball from Molyneux. Delaunay likes to step off his left foot. Slips the ball away to Fraze. Fraze in open spaces. Ricky Stewart comes across. Just managed to ankle tap him to take a little bit of the stride away from him. Lost his balance for a moment. And Eddinghausen got there. On top, tries to keep it going. Away from Lazarus. Valero is trapped well, though. Lazarus it was coming again. And that's a handover. Once more, France are managing to find a couple of openings.
That's right, and they're making the breaks out in the back line somehow, so maybe we'll have to tighten up in the centre region.
That time it was Delaunay just stepping inside and then handing it out the back to Fraze, running the angle. Managed to cut through. So this is a much improved French side on the first test performance. Here's Benny Elias cutting straight through. Roach alongside him. Mackay is also there. Roach decides that he has to wait for someone else. Mackay was covered. Now it's with Lyons. Lyons has plenty of support out there too. Alexander tries to change direction, but they didn't fall for it. Bouzer driving him into the ground. Also on Tara across in cover. Stewart, dummies to Sirenen. Lazarus. Lazarus getting into full stride. Belcher trips over the top of Glenn Lazarus and Molyneux. It's a fifth tackle, just 20 metres out. Roach on the blind side. Great pass to Eddinghausen, and he couldn't quite get to it. Just an inch too far in front of him. Superb pass from Roach.
It was a good pass by Roach. He's showing all his ball skills. We had a good game of cricket yesterday, and he thought he's the man of the match in that, so he's trying to show him more today.
I heard it was a pretty spirited game of cricket yesterday.
Yeah, it was a big men versus little men. Both sides thought they won, so hasn't been finalised yet.
The little men won the wrestling match the other week, though.
Yeah, we had a wrestling match, and they still want to get us back for that also.
On Tar, spinning around, but can't escape Mal Meninga on the French quarter line. Australia leading 14-4. Tesser cut down, making just a couple of metres before Lazarus swung him over. Butenol can't brush off Sirenen. Two big men, but Sirenen the stronger. On Tar, kicking through, coming through as Fraze. Meninga has it. Brett trying to burrow into him and bulldog him to the ground. Finally, as Valero over the top makes the tackle. Stewart. Ricky Stewart trying to find a little hole up the middle.
A little knock on there, I think.
Just the tiniest of knock-ons as Valero was on top of Stewart. And Steve Roach just shakes his head as he comes over for this scrum to pack. France to feed. 32 metres out from their own line. Montar takes his time, makes sure it's a French ball. And almost away. Nick Lyons moving up on his man, and Montar nearly slipping in behind him. Molyneux inside. And, once more, it's a strong defence. Lyons and Mackay there, meeting Verde. Valero. Valero is a very handy player. He always keeps going for 80 minutes.
He plays like a second rower too, like he takes a lot of the ball up all the time.
Montar just fumbling that ball for a moment, and that was long enough for the defence to get him. Molyneux. France is standing flat here. Dive. Stewart had him by 1 foot, then managed to reach out and get the other one. It's a fifth tackle. Brett puts the kick through straight to the arms of Ricky Stewart. Well, I thought last week that Brett and Biennes were very ordinary in the centres, and Delaunay has certainly improved that area. Shearer almost away from on top. Bouzer is over the top of him now. In fact, Guy Delaunay coming into the centres today, he had retired from international football. He played against Australia in Parks on that visit earlier in the year. And then Delaunay announced that he had retired from international football, but the coach, Jacques Jourda, who coaches his club, had appealed to him to make himself available once more for this test to add some more experience, and he decided that he would represent his country once more, and he's played well out there in the centres for France. Lazarus, quick pass to Sirenen. Roach, the forwards working well together. Meninga over the top to Eddinghausen. Eddinghausen quickly on his way. Frez coming at him. Eddinghausen cope on the toe and regathers. Magnificent work by Eddinghausen. It appeared that Frez had managed to frustrate him once more, and then the ball bouncing in the in-goal area just went up in the air, enough for Eddinghausen to get to it. Great thinking. He decided to use the kick rather than run around the fullback.
Yeah, well, the fullback would have had him covered if he didn't kick it. And E.T. showed great pace and skills to get that ball down.
Australia 18, France 4. Eddinghausen, the top try scorer for Australia in the series. Let's have another look at it.
There he goes. He gets the ball standing still. Knows that he can't get around him, so he kicks her inside. Just uses his pace and skills from there on.
Great football there by Eddinghausen. All the skills, just getting it down inside the line. And Alexander's kick is perfect. Alexander has had one from in front and one from the touchline, the same as Mal Meninga, but different results. And Australia lead by 20-4.
Well, Alexander's added another 8 points already in this game to his total.
And Alexander had 96 points in France before this game, so he's cracked the ton.
So it's been a great effort by him over here.
Yes, he's had a magnificent time in France, Greg Alexander. He doesn't particularly like playing on the wing, but I'm sure he'd play there to play a test match. And this is the 18th game of the tour, and it's the 18th game in which Greg Alexander has either played or been on the bench. Every single game he's had to put his gear on and be ready to play. Alexander, in fact, all up for the tour, has picked up 146 points before this game. And the amazing thing is that his first try was in the 9th game, halfway through the tour before he scored his first try. And he now has 14 tries for the tour. Australia have mucked it up. And this scrum the pack midway between the quarter and halfway. Molinaire. Molinaire and Lyons having a good battle out there. Dive runs into the tackle of Lazarus and Gillespie. Valero, Ontar, mistiming the run was Butenol. Ontar having to go out a little wider, picks up Lopez. Ontar again. Verde, Lyons is across. And that is half-time. No siren here at the ground, but the referee keeping a check on his watch. And at half-time, it's Australia leading by 20 points to 4. It remains to be seen just whether that's enough. I mean, the way this Australian team plays, you would think that they can go on with it, but they did have that very strong breeze at their backs in the first half, and it won't be any easier for them in the second 40 minutes. The scrums and penalties so far in the match, the penalties are 3 each, the scrums 3-2 in favour of France, and tries for Australia to Mackay, Shearer, Alexander and Eddinghausen, and Meninga missing with 2 shots at goal, Alexander putting 2 over, and for France the try to Cyril Pons, and Tisser missing with his 1 attempt at goal. And we also had Dive in the sin bin for 10 minutes, but Alan, do you feel pretty confident Australia can go on with it into the wind in the second half? Yeah,
it's always going to be strong into the wind, but I think they can get away with this game. It's been a very, very spirited performance by the French side. They got the win with them in the second half, and I think that try late in the first half has boosted their confidence a bit.
Okay, so that's the situation at half-time from a very chilly Gilbert Brutus Stadium in Perpignan. We'll hand you back to Michael O'Connor and Steve Revilliard.
Thanks very much, Warren. And as Alan Langer pointed out, that much better French effort this week. It was 26-0 this time last week, 20-4 this week. Not that much difference in the scoreline, but a detectable difference in the way the French are playing, Michael.
Absolutely, Steve. I think it's a far more spirited performance this week from the French side. They're probably a little bit unlucky not to be closer on the scoreboard. They started the game very well, and it's really just the individual brilliance and just the way that the Australians can turn the game in the flicker of a moment that's really been the difference.
Well, it took 10 minutes for Australia to get on the scoreboard. An enterprising kick and chase from Cliff Lyons led to this try by Brad Mackay.
Molinaire's defence at 5'8" will be tough. Here's a good kick cut through by Lyons. There's no fullback at home. It's Cliff Lyons and daylight with Boozer coming across. Inside is Mackay, and Mackay will step past Boozer for a great try. Put that down to quick.
Well, that made it 4-0. Dale Shearer scored a try 11 minutes later in the 21st minute, and that made it 8-0. Both kicks at goal missed. But then we saw an amazing try by Greg Alexander. David Fraze although his positional play is poor, he did a couple of great tackles to run him down, ET down, but he missed Alexander.
Yes, I've been very impressed with his game. He's certainly a fullback, not a 5'8". He didn't go so well at 5'8" last week, but he showed a lot of speed to carry out that tackle on Andrew Ettinghausen in the corner. Not too many players would have been able to pick ET up in that situation. And on top of that, he's made a couple of breaks, couple of good inroads in the back line, where I think Australia's probably been a little bit too relaxed in the centres.
Unfortunately, though, he let Greg Alexander go, and watch the celebration from young Brandy.
Roach and Tessere have a few words. Montar kicks. Good kick into the ring, bouncing away from Belcher. Who's there coming through? Misses the tackle. Now it's Alexander. Clear space down the wing, no one in front of him. Tessere coming across. He won't get there. Can Fraser make another tackle? Fraser's missed Alexander this time. Fraser couldn't make another great tackle, and Alexander comes around behind the post to make it Australia 12, France 0, and Alexander. Whoa! I didn't know he had that in him.
He could get a place in the gymnastics team for Australia.
Yes, Steve. I was just wondering what they've been doing over in France for 2 weeks, because there's not much to do over there. Obviously, they've been practising up on their gymnastics.
Well, the French certainly deserved a try because they played very well, particularly in the first 5 minutes. They were very unlucky not to have got on the board. Well, eventually they did through winger Cyril Pons after half an hour's play.
Montar, long ball, Molyneux to Tessere. They have some numbers here. Verdes keeps it going to Delaunay. Inside is Pons. Pons for the line, and Pons will score. Pons.
And Delaunay in the centres is making a big difference this week.
Yes, I believe so, and I also think that the other change in Butenol in the second row, he seems to have really strengthened up the forward pack, and he's coming up with some big hits. I think that the changes that they've made have really paid off, and you mentioned him. I think overall, I think you could probably mention 3 or 4 other players as well. On task, playing splendidly, and I think Devo, he's backing up a strong game from last week with another strong performance tonight.
Well, if you want to see the difference, last week the French really were miserable in defence. The Australians running in 60 points. Let's have a look now at highlights from the first test in Avignon.
Only 15 metres out. Australia right on the attack with Roach. Back inside to Sirinen. Sirinen charging through, just half a metre short. It's the 5th tackle. Elias a dummy half. Spins it out to Stewart. Long ball from Stewart. Beautiful hands from Meninga over the top. Daly with Shearer outside him. Daly still going. Back inside to Lyons. Has plenty of support. Elias is there. Flicks it out the back. It's the last tackle as they keep it alive. Magnificent hands out to Ettinghausen. Ettinghausen for the corner. What a try by Australia. Here's Lazarus trying to struggle straight through the tackle of his opposite number, Serge Tito. Only 5 metres out, Elias works the blind. Beautiful hands there from Belcher to pull it in. Sirinen for the line. Pons can't tackle him. Great try to Paul Sirinen. 35 metres out. Australia leading 10-0.
It's a great ball by Daly.
Meninga. Meninga held by one leg. Bounces to his feet. Still going as Mal Meninga. Ettinghausen pulls it in. Great hands from Ettinghausen. Has Shearer inside. One winger to the other. And Shearer scores the try. Roach gets it away to Lyons. Lyons slips a magnificent ball to Meninga. Great football, Lyons. Now here's Mal Meninga. Has Ettinghausen outside him. Throws the dummy inside as Alexander. Alexander chased by Pons. Uses Belcher. Back to Alexander. And you just can't stop Greg Alexander scoring tries. 5 tries this week against France B. Alexander. Long ball for Lyons. Lyons inside Meninga. Meninga. Belcher. Belcher straightens it up. Alexander's there. Alexander could go all the way. Turns on the pace. Alexander sprints away for his 2nd try of the match. Australia on the attack from the kickoff. Here's a big run from Lazarus onto Mackay. Mackay has Meninga at his shoulder but couldn't get it away. Last-ditch tackle there from the centre, Brett. Australia on the attack once more. It's Gillespie for the line. Did he get it down? Gillespie waiting for the referee's decision, and he calls it a try. Australia move it wide. Roach shows it to Sirinen. Sirinen on the burst. 5th tackle now, only 8 metres out. Lyons in a dummy half. Australia have plenty of men wide. Short passes. Alexander, Meninga. Belcher has his winger with him. Goes himself. Gary Belcher steps through with ease. Gary Belcher stepping off his right foot, left them grasping at air. And that's a great try by Belcher. Alexander now, just short of halfway, floats the pass out to Hasler. Hasler backs away from the touchline. He's still going away from Molyneux, away from Divet. The pass goes to Lyons. Lyons has Belcher outside him. Belcher taken by Bouzer inside of a flying Ettinghausen, and Ettinghausen will race away. Magnificent side Andrew Ettinghausen in full flight. And that's a great try. Tar. The run around with Valero, but it's been lost, and Elias comes up with it. One-arm pass onto Lyons. Australia attacking from their own territory once more. Here goes Meninga. Eddinghausen is inside. Eddinghausen could go all the way. He's still going. Andrew Eddinghausen turns it on, has support there, and Alexander's in for his third try. What a burst from Andrew Eddinghausen. Meninga flat-footed. Eddinghausen got a shock, and the ball almost intercepted. The pass was on its way to Belcher. Lazarus with 5 more tackles up his sleeve, but he doesn't need any more tackles. Glenn Lazarus bursting into space. He had 6 tackles up his sleeve as a signal from the referee. As Mal Meninga comes over the top to make the tackle. Played back by Valero. On Tar. Dive trying to get away from Elias, and he's done it. Gets a pass away to Fraze, and Fraze scores France's first try. Verde. On Tar. Little kick through for Tisser, but it's well read by Elias. Out the back to Belcher. Belcher sets sail upfield. He's got Eddinghausen outside him. Inside is Lyons. Lyons has plenty of men there too. Belcher opening up the gap on the inside, and Belcher dummies his way to the line. Great try from Australia from their own side of halfway.
Well, some marvellous tries scored there, and maybe if you had to pick a man out of the first game and a half for the Australians, might be your teammate Cliff Lyons. He's been great in attack and in defence.
He hasn't scored too many tries, but there hasn't been too many tries he hasn't been involved in, and he's playing again strongly tonight. He's doing a lot of good defensive work, and yeah, he's just such a skillful player. Great player to run off.
The wind is going to be with the French in the second half. Are they good enough to get near the Australians?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think that they'll come out and wave the white hanky like they did last week. But I think that obviously it's going to be closer because they've got the wind behind them, and it is a very strong wind. But I just don't think it's going to be strong enough for them to come back into the game.
Oh, and obviously every time they kick the ball, they're going to give it to the Australians. And Belcher's positional play a bit better than Fraser's. Yeah,
Belcher's seems to be running extremely well in the French leg of the tour. He's running with a lot of fluidity, and he's very hard to tackle. He's a great mover, and also when you've got Alexander and Eddinghausen back in support, I don't think I'd be kicking too much to Australia this half.
And the Australian wingers, Alexander and Eddinghausen, got a little duel going over who's going to score the most tries. I think ET, with one each now, ET's still the one ahead.
Yeah.
Do those little duels mean anything?
I think so. I think that obviously things are remembered like that on tour, and you could see when Andrew Eddinghausen missed out in that try in the corner, he was very disappointed in himself. Obviously in the back of his mind he'd like to come away from the tour as a top point scorer, and I think obviously you saw an elated Greg Alexander when he scored his try. So I think it's going to be a personal duel in the second half.
Well, just there are the players coming out onto the field now, and so it won't be long before we've got a restart, and the Australians, thinking, I guess, of the plane out of London tomorrow for Singapore, it's going to be hard for them to keep their minds on the job, but that's what's got to be done. Gary Belcher, who we were just talking about, he'll be tested in this second half with plenty of kicks probably coming his way. I hope that Warren and Alan are being able to keep themselves warm as we get ready for the second half.
Isn't going to be of much assistance into this wind. Can't see any changes in either side just at the moment. Australia replacing Bob Linder in the first half with David Gillespie, Linder once again succumbing to a thigh injury. And from the kick-off, Australia making the mistake. Whitney Stewart unable to cover the kick, and so it'll be a goal line dropout. Bad start for Australia.
Yeah, well, won't be the start they wanted, but I just have to fight back from here now. It's going to be a strong wind they're kicking into, so I don't think it's going to be a very deep kick.
Ricky Stewart to see what distance he can get. That ball holding up just over the 22. And Mark Tessier gathering it in, so that shows the strength of this wind. Stewart putting it up in the air, and it barely went 20 metres. Fraze up in the line, getting it on to Verde. Ball, play the ball. Valero was on the burst. Fraze up at dummy half. On the blind side, on Tar. Long ball. Out there was Brett. He couldn't handle it. And Stewart across in cover. Ricky Stewart reading the play well to get back to that blind side. Coming up with a loose ball, which was into Brett's arms. And honestly, Serge Brett, well, he is not an international class centre. He's dropped too many balls and really not done much with the ones that he has got hold of. Here's Sirinen. Brett trying to steal the ball, and Brett has done something worthwhile. Just as I say, he's not up to it. He steals the ball from Sirinen and a chance for France. Dive. Down on the 22. Valero in a dummy half. Butenol. Butenol, 30 years of age, plenty of experience. He's played quite a few tests for France. Valero switches it to Ontar. Ontar looking for the little gap, but Mackay closed it quickly. Gillespie and Mackay squeezing in on Ontar. Australia's defence well set as Molinaire looking wide. Elias racing up very quickly, almost opened up the gap on the inside. It's the 5th tackle. Ontar. Short kicks through. Belcher misses it. Ontar is there, and Ontar scores. Try to France. Belcher missing the kick. Cyril Pons jumping in the background, and France score the first try of the second half. Australia lead by 20 points to 8. But what a start for France.
It's been a great start by France. Australia making a couple of mistakes there, and France have been on the attack since the half-time hooter, and now with a try, it's going to boost them, and look at them running back. They're all ready to go again.
Well, a beautifully placed and judged kick by Ontar, just popping it through, only just tapping it with his foot because of this breeze. But Gary Belcher really appeared to have it covered, and it just went straight through his arms. I can only think that he must have taken his eye off the ball, because he had it covered for all money.
Yeah, it looked like he had it covered, just sort of slipped through his arms.
Nevertheless, good work from Ontar. A constant threat is the French halfback. And Marc Tessère has the chance to bring France within 10 points here. As the ball placed. Good kick from Tessère. And it's Australia 20, France 10, and France have this strong wind at their back. So we have a test match on our hands here in Perpignan. Good kick from Tessère, right between the posts. Superb football from Ontar as well. Australia making those couple of mistakes to get themselves into trouble. Alexander gets play underway once more. That ball holding up in the breeze. It bounces away from the French player Molinaire. And in the end, the referee does rule a knock-on. Thought he may have given them the benefit of the doubt, as Molinaire initially was chasing back towards the ball and appeared to knock it backwards. Lions. Dummies to Meninga. Alexander. Taken well by Bouzet, who impresses me, Alain Bouzet. I think he's a very good winger. Meninga. Only 13 metres out. So Australia would be very pleased if they could hit back immediately. Lazarus heading for the posts. Roach on the open side. Elias goes across, back inside of Sirinen. Sirinen only a couple of metres out. Elias swings around. Still going, Benny Elias, trying to get there himself. Sirinen in a dummy half. Stewart. Long ball for Lions, has Meninga outside. Meninga will stroll over in the corner. Frey's arriving too late. So Australia moving the ball well, and they've hit back immediately to take the sting out of the French comeback. And it's Australia 24, France 10.
Well, another good ball by Ricky Stewart there, but it all started with the kick-off. Another mistake by the French off the kick-off allowed Australia to get the ball back from the scrum, and within 6 tackles they're over for a try.
Yes, you could almost say that's a repeat of what France did to Australia moments ago with the mistake from the kick-off.
That's right.
Good hands by Australia to finish it off there. Meninga over in the corner, almost unopposed. Frez really arriving far too late. Some good balls on the inside of that run by Meninga. Alexander with the attempt from out wide. He hooks it around into the breeze. And well wide for Greg Alexander. And the score remains Australia 24, France 10. So it'll be interesting to see now just whether France can sustain that the fiery start to the second half, or the good start at least to the second half. Molinaire brings it back to the halfway. The referee looking towards the open side. His Molinaire's kick would have gone out on the full, I thought, but Brad Mackay took it safely and brings it back. May have been a penalty to Australia if Mackay had decided to take the odds to it and let it go. Mackay resenting the tackle of Lopez. Here's Lazarus. Yes, Glenn Lazarus. 30 metres out. Sirinen gets the pass away to Meninga. Gillespie. Roach. Australian forwards making the hard yards up towards halfway. Confusion with Elias looking one way and then the other, and found no runners. Last tackle now. Stewart kicks high into the breeze. Bouzer doesn't cover it. Through is Alexander on him. Bouzer should have gone to that ball on the full. And Meninga's stolen the ball. Penalty goes to France against Meninga, stealing the ball after the tackle had been completed.
Well, I thought he stole the ball during the tackle, but referee Holsworth didn't agree.
Yeah, I'd agree with you too. Meninga very strong. Bouzer got himself into trouble. Belcher touching the ball as it went over the touch line, but the ref, I should say the touch judge, saying that the ball was already in touch. Belcher was on the line. Delaunay. Held by Roach and Elias, and the punches start to be thrown. Touch judge has his flag high in the air. Roach still in there. Referee Holsworth right in the centre of it. And Steve Roach, 10 minutes in the sin bin. Roach argues, saying he wasn't the one who started it. Here's the incident again. For Steve Roach and Delaunay, it appeared to be a little bit of a headbutt there, and then Elias comes over the top. Valero had a go at Elias, and then moments after that, Steve Roach threw another punch, and I think in the end, referee Holsworth decided that Roach had kept the incident going longer than need be. So really both teams involved there, but the penalty has gone to France. Mal Meninga coming up to question the referee. I don't know what your version of it was, Alan.
Yeah, well, I thought the French player, you know, tried to do a little headbutt there, and just Blocker retaliated.
So France with a chance to attack once more, only 15 metres out. Montard quickly with the tap. They move it out to Delaunay, and Dive can't get away from Mackay, who's made some great copybook tackles today. Montard trying to spin around and find a little hole. Mackay has stolen the ball and it's play on this time. Montard locked in the arms of Lazarus. Belcher, Meninga. Australia 24, France 10. Shearer. Goodnold's got him by the hand, but it's Dive and Valero doing most of the hard work in the tackle. Shearer tries to play it forward, and the referee says France hadn't got back their 5 metres and a penalty to Australia.
Good work by Dale Shearer there, keeping French on the toes.
Yes, they hadn't really got back and hadn't marked up straight in front of him either. Quick play the ball, caught them out of position. Meninga finds touch just over the halfway line. And Elias will have to come over to the touch line to retrieve the ball. Stewart, Alexander, an injection of pace off the wing, but no way through. Butenol. Gillespie dragging Dive with him. Midway between the quarter and halfway France territory. Lions, Meninga, Shearer has Eddinghausen outside him. Pons came off his wing to help make the tackle. Meninga has another run. The bulk of Mal Meninga. Eddinghausen straightens up. Shoulder charge from Butenol didn't stop him. Good tackle in the end from Tisser and Valero. Stewart to Sirinen up the centre. Sirinen still going. Sirinen has support in Mackay. Mackay racing away. Francis tackle can't prevent the try. Great backing up by Mackay once more. Strong burst from Sirinen. Good work by the Australians, taking it up the centre and cracking the French defence once more. And it's Australia 28, France 10.
Yeah, it was Ricky Stewart taking the ball across field, turning it back inside to Paul Sirinen. Paul Sirinen just using his size to just charge through the French defence and putting Brad Mackay away, and the French fullback trying to drag him back, but Brad Mackay just had enough strength to get over the line.
Mackay hunting up beautifully, positioning himself on the inside of Sirenen's strong burst, and a great pass from Sirenen. Drew the defence, slipped a lovely ball back inside. Frez trying to haul Mackay back in. But David Fraser, who's been fairly busy, made one great tackle to stop a try in the first half on Andrew Eddinghausen, but then missed Alexander. Couldn't prevent Eddinghausen's other try, and then that time it was Mackay.
Brad Mackay is just great at backing up. He's always there, and you'll always see him there.
Alexander right in front. The flags are up, and 2 more points to Australia and to Greg Alexander, who's had a great time in France, and it's Australia now leading France by 30 points to 10. And still quite a long way to go in this second half. So it doesn't look as if the French threat, which started to materialise when they got within 10 points, is going to continue. Back to halfway with Molyneux. Deep kick, an awkward one. Alexander luckily they're getting the bounce because that one was really shooting at him with the breeze. Australia just inside their quarter with Lazarus. Sirenen just had his ankle flipped. His toe really flipped by Ontar. Gillespie. Australia still unable to make much headway. Lazarus gets it to the 22. Stewart kicks into the breeze. Lyons chasing downfield, interfered with by Molyneux. Back goes Bouzer, the winger. And, well, is that ball still in play? It is, I think. Lyons has it. And taken from behind by Delaunay. Lyons back on his feet. Meninga has it. Mackay. Mackay had Elias in a hole but couldn't get the ball to him. Brad Mackay still fighting. It's the 5th tackle now. Cutter goes to Stewart. Long ball over the top to Eddinghausen. Eddinghausen going backwards. Cyril Pons driving him towards touch and into touch. Well, I'm not too sure how that can have been the 5th tackle because I thought it was the 5th when Ricky Stewart kicked it, and I thought Bouzer touched it when it looked like it nearly went into touch.
Well, I thought it was into touch, and the linesman didn't think so, and went there, and it was the 6th tackle then again when Australia got the ball back. So, you know, I think it was a poor decision by the ref there. Greg Alexander seems to be in a bit of trouble also.
French scrum win, but they've lost it. Alexander receiving treatment on what appears to be his knee. Scrum win to Australia against the feed. Or it should have been against the feed. I think Ricky Stewart did actually put that ball in. Belcher. Alexander still receiving treatment. It's as if he may be going to stay on the field. Gillespie.
Gary Boucher's also limping as well, I think.
Gillespie fighting his way out of Valero's tackle to play the ball. Sirenen's in a gap again. Big Paul Sirenen charging through, and Brad Mackay once more was inside him. Sirenen's still standing in the tackle. Finally falls over, like a tall tree. Stewart. Gillespie, pass was behind him. Play on. Finally taken by Lope. 20 metres out. Lyons. First pass. Shearer has to go back. Shearer down just short of the quarter. It's the 5th tackle. Stewart. No, Stewart doesn't get it. Benny Elias. Dummies to kick. On the last tackle. Flicks it out the back to Meninga. The pass went forward. Elias got himself into a bit of trouble once he decided not to kick initially. And that will be a handover because of the Australian mistake on the last tackle. Tisser runs straight into Lazarus.
I think Chris Johns is warming up. I think he might be on to replace Greg Alexander.
That'll be Chris Johns' first appearance in a test match, won't it?
Yeah, it'd be good to see, and sure everyone home at Brisbane will hope he goes well.
And Lockyer getting a pass well in front of him, has knocked it on. So this was another chance for Australia. There's a few Australians here at the game today, and a couple came up at half-time. Stephen Anthony from Ryde asked if we could say hello to all their family and friends back home. There's a few others Australians here, but they're well and truly outnumbered as Meninga pushes away from Brett. Ons comes in. Meninga plays the ball. Verde was in that tackle as well and came off worse than aware. And looks towards the touch judge, who does have his flag in the air. And now referee Holsworth sees that. In that tackle on Meninga, Verde was appealing that something had gone on.
In the meantime, Chris Johns couldn't wait to get on. He's sprinting out in the field, ready to go. And old Johnsy, you know, we've been stirring him up all week about getting his test debut, and now he's on the field. I think everyone's happy for him.
Chris Johns just doing a few warm-ups. If we watch a replay of that incident there. Well, that was actually a later incident. That wasn't the one which the touch judge had his flag in the air for. The penalty has gone to France. So this game just a little disjointed with some of these penalties. Penalties now running 6-4 in favour of France. And play back inside the Australian half. 2 balls on the field. Cliff Lyons has one in his arms, just throws it over the touchline now. Ontar gets it over to Molinaire. Divet runs into Eddinghausen, who'd come off his ring to make the tackle. But Divet is fighting our way from Eddinghausen. Pons has it. Divet, the Manly Warringah Junior, played his early football there at least, and has shown some ability in these 2 test matches. Finished strongly in the first test in that last 20 minutes. Valero, the switch with Ontar, but it's been lost by Verde. Back to Ontar. The referee says that it went forward. The crowd don't like it. And the scrum will pack. The crowd getting pretty irate here. The signals alongside us, they're raising their hands to the heavens and saying, how can it be? Ricky Stewart has the ball. He's well tackled by Molinaire. Molinaire trying to get another penalty, just simply because Ricky Stewart tried to throw his arm around to straighten his jersey, nothing more. Roach. Roach appealing that he wants to be allowed to play the ball. Lazarus gets to the halfway. Australia leading 30 points to 10. France offside in Verde, the man coming up on Lyons. Lyons' kick is a good one, driving into the wind. And that would be the most effective kick for touch that we've seen all day.
Yeah, it was a very good kick, especially into the wind, and he just stabbed it, and a great touch finder.
The man who came up on Lyons, Verde, Daniel Verde, was a mile offside, and the referee signalled to him to get back, but took no action when he moved up on Lyons. France scrum win. Looking at Chris Johns at the bottom of your picture, number 14, he's jumping up and down, trying to keep warm out on the wing.
He'd be very cold at this stage.
Verde tackled by Lyons. 28 metres out from the French line. Lyons over the top of Ontar, who keeps going, and he's still going, and gets the pass away. He's a good footballer, Ontar, a lot of courage, and a fair dose of ability too. Referee signalling it was a fair tackle by Gillespie and Roach. Crowd feel that there was a bit of a punch went in on Lopez, and Lopez still down, injured. Belcher chasing this kick back. Delaunay and Bouzer coming through. The kick staying in the in-goal area. Delaunay was arriving. Gary Belcher didn't really have a look over his shoulder. I thought he was going to get himself into trouble there. Lopez is still down 30 metres out from his own line, so it appears that he did cop a knock in that tackle. The crowd want to get onto the field and take some action themselves. A good-natured crowd, even though they're pretty vociferous and making plenty of noise about it all. They're a fairly good-natured mob, sitting right alongside us here in the stand. Sirinen. Sirinen held by 4 players. Valero was in there as well. Lyons looking wide. France moving up very quickly. Belcher. Elias squeezed from behind by Dive. Bouzet has it. Gillespie gets hold of him. Delaunay now. Delaunay had nowhere to go. Mokhtar, a long ball out to Molyneux. Brett pass went behind Verde, but it's play on with Frez. Frez running strongly. Good run by David Fraser, away from Belcher, onto Ontar. Ontar stepped back into the defence. They're still looking for a try with Verde. The ball finally goes loose. France regather, and the referee says 6 more. So a chance for France. Ontar could have scored it himself, but he went the wrong way. Ontar loses it now. Stewart gathers it in, and that's Australia's ball. I thought Ontar stepped back into the defence when he could have gone to the line himself.
Yeah, I thought he should have ran towards the post, and he stepped back the other way, and resulted in Australia knocking the ball down. But a great attacking poise there by France.
One side of the field to the other. Moving the ball well. That's Brad Mackay. Now just outside the Australian 22. And Steve Roach takes it forward, hitting the advantage line well. Australia leading 30 points to 10. We won't see a big upset today, but France are capable of it and have done in the past. Here's Meninga. Crosses into French territory, but it's the 5th tackle now. Elias gets his kick in. Molyneux juggling it backwards. Tries to straighten up. Jacques Molyneux not looking very mobile then. Delaunay. This French side, this experienced centre. Had luck for France that Somito had to pull out before the game. More experience wouldn't have gone astray as well. Fraser wasn't expecting it, but look at that kick with the breeze. It's travelled 60 metres in the air, but it goes dead in goal rather than into touch. So Australia will come back for a tap at the 22. Just looking back in 1960 in Australia, France lost the 2nd test 56-6, but then 14 days later came out and won the 3rd test 7-5. I don't think they're going to manage such a turnaround today.
Well, I don't think so, not at this stage of the game now. I think Australia got it pretty well wrapped up, and I think Australia will be just looking for more tries to score.
Roach, Stewart. Meninga pulls it in superbly. Now Mal Meninga go all the way. David Fraser's giving chase. Meninga changes direction. He's still going, Mal Meninga. Meninga on his feet flicks it out the back. I thought Meninga was going to go all the way. Even with the solid tackle of Fraser, it looked like Meninga would keep stumbling forward. Now the ball's been stolen. Gira for the line. He's pulled down just short by Bouzet. Trying to play the ball. Plays it forward. And the referee gives a penalty to France, saying Dale Shearer didn't play the ball correctly, but it would have been equally fair in giving a penalty to Australia because Shearer wasn't allowed to play it.
Well, that's right, but I thought Mel was going to go all the way there. It just couldn't get away from the fullback, and now France are got to get out of their quarter to get back to attacking the Australian defence.
It's an awesome sight, isn't it? Mal Meninga at full stretch from about 50 metres out, powering for the line.
Yeah, rather be tackling from the side than in front on.
Absolutely. Dale Shearer, after almost scoring, has a quick word with Johns, comes back into the line. Some sloppy play here by France. No one wants the ball. Finally, Delaunay jumps on it. Australia almost regathering there on the first tackle. Dive. France might think about the kick to get it away from that area. Gary Belcher standing 10 metres inside the French half. Forwards trying to get it away from the danger area. Verde plays it on the blind side now. Molyneux chips through. Racing through is Brett. Brett putting Stewart under pressure. Without claiming that Stewart interfered with Brett. But I thought it looked like a reasonable charge between the two. Stewart. Lyons. Shearer. Johns gets a touch. Chris Johns is still going. Chris Johns, another player who played midweek on that very cold night. Roach, good ball to Mackay. Mackay bursting away. Prez comes across at him, so does Brett, and they bury him into the dust. But a good run once more by Mackay, who's showing his pace for a look forward. Lyons loses it. And the knock-on to be played. So this scrum packing 10 metres out from the French line, with Australia leading 30 points to 10. The clock not actually showing the time left in the match. But, I would say around 10, 12 minutes. And Australia well on the way to winning this test match by a comfortable margin. There's Brad Mackay there, really sandwiched by Frez and Brett.
Well, I think it's starting to get colder and colder every of the day here.
Feels like it, doesn't it? Is it true that it looks like we've got a French player going to be replaced? They've called for the stretcher. It might be Brett down on the far side after making that tackle. It is Brett, Serge Brett, the centre. He does appear to be in some pain. Another look at the tackle. Brad Mackay almost away. And then as Frez came in from the right-hand side of your picture, Brett got squeezed. It might have been his left leg getting squeezed underneath Mackay. Solid blow. Is it true that Australian coach Bob Fulton, who of course we know as Bozo, that in French they call him Bouzou?
Bouzou, yeah, well that's the nickname the players have given him. He hasn't, I don't think he likes it too much, but the boys did call him it, so it's just one of the things that happens on the tour.
France with the scrum win. The other thing that's interesting is when you're travelling around or seeing the posters for the game, they don't call this a test of rugby league, they call it rugby 13.
Yeah, it's funny over here, like even when we play the French B-side and that, they have rugby 13 on their jerseys and that, so...
Here's a good kick by Molinaire. Deep kick, but it doesn't take the bounce. So it may hold up in the field of play. In the in goal now. Will it go dead in goal? Just an inch too long. It really didn't take the bounce that he wanted. He was looking for touch. But at least France getting play down the right end of the field.
Mark Sargent warming up on the sideline.
Lazarus, 30 metres out. Gillespie.
Des Hasler has come on for Ricky Stewart as well.
Bob Fulton might be giving a few of the players a run. Ricky Stewart has been worried by a groin injury. Big fend from Roach, who then goes after Ontar. Ontar hanging onto him. Ontar showing a bit of guts there because, and he's got a smile on his face. He almost seemed to be just waiting for Roach to have a go. Here's a kick with Hasler coming through, and Ontar is back there to gather it in. Ontar isn't everywhere, man. One moment he's trying to stir Steve Roach up, the next he's back at fullback. Hasler kicks early, and the penalty goes to France. Good tactics there by Australia. They realised the fullback wasn't home, and in the end it was the halfback who had to get back to cover that kick through.
It's not out.
Fraser's kick taken by Belcher. Belcher has Lyons with him. Lazarus. Lyons. Lyons gets a miracle pass away. Hasler's waiting for it. Meninga. Eddinghausen on the outside. Meninga still going, but Cyril Pond stands his ground and upends the Colossus. Elias. Lazarus juggles. Belcher leaves it behind. Away from Delaunay. Belcher still going. Upended himself. A few of these players are coming down pretty hard at the moment from a great height. First Meninga, then Belcher. On the French borderline. Gillespie, a great pass to Shearer. Spins around. Gets it away. Roach. Great pass out the back there to Chris Johns. And Australia only 3 metres out, looking for yet another try. The backs are very deep. Roach takes them on himself, and Steve Roach hangs on and scores. And Roach will be delighted with scoring a try in the final test match on tour. The Australian backs were deep, but Elias used the big man, charging at the line, and he's over for the 4-pointer.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of a Balmain move. Benny Elias just run it flat across the field, and Steve Roach just coming on it close to the line, and he's very hard to stop there.
And really just no defence there in the end, as the big man, the blocker, crashed through. The only question for him was whether he could hang on to the ball.
Yeah, I think we'll hear a bit more about this try tonight.
It'll probably become 50 metres rather than 5 metres.
Yeah, and he sidestepped and kicked and, you know, dummy.
Greg Alexander is off the field, so Dale Shearer will attempt this conversion. Glenn Lazarus has left the field with Mark Sargent on. Australia leading 34-10. Dale Shearer trying to make it 36. Nothing like the 60-4 thrashing handed out in the first test.
Yeah, the French side has seemed to show more commitment and certainly gave Australia a tough game today.
Dale Shearer misses the goal, and he couldn't believe it. He looked back thinking surely that went through. But, there didn't seem to be any indecision. Now, the referee is calling the touch judge over. I don't think it's to query him about the attempted goal. The score remains Australia 34, France 10. About 5 minutes remaining in the match. 5 minutes remaining in the tour. Have you enjoyed it?
Well, the tour's been great, but it's been a bit long now. And, all the players are looking forward to get home. We've got a couple of days of Singapore left, and everyone's looking forward to get home in the sunshine and seeing their families and friends.
Cliff Lyons takes it on his toe, and Paul Surin against charging up the centre. This tactic of the Australians to put Surin back for the kickoff. Elias. Sargent gets it on to Belcher. Now it's a hot potato. Towed through by Ontar. Well, the referee's going to call it back, but from that I agree with you. I think it could have been play on to Ontar, and a try was on because there was no fullback.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought he was going to play on, but he's called it back. Australia just trying to throw the ball around there and get another try up before the siren goes.
The rest of the jury alongside us here in the 3,000 strong crowd didn't get too upset, so I'm surprised something like that. They would have roared a little earlier in the game. Scrum win to France. Delaunay coming back towards the forwards and wishes he hadn't as Surinen's there. Mackay the first one into the tackle. Surinen ready of shoulder in the tackle. Ontar, Verde, Valero. That wind still blowing down from the mountains. You can see snow on the hills. Jutnol. France certainly have played better in this match. More commitment, more skill too. As a jet roars over the top of us. Only about 100 metres above the ground. Molinaire. Verde. Verde has played pretty well today, but the loose pass goes to Surin, and Elias is back there. Eddinghausen, with Lyons calling for it on the far side of the field. Now he gets it. Belcher is outside Lyons. Lyons, typical fashion, going all over the place, usually running into a hole on this tour. Mackay. Clock showing just under 5 minutes remaining in the match. Sargent. Mark Sargent has scored a healthy bag of tries on this tour as Chris Johns bursts up the centre. Great determination there from Johns.
He loves getting in the middle there, trying to get him to get more involved, and especially in this cold weather, with cherishing this.
Well, Australia's got the penalty against Valero for not clearing away from the tackle player. And Australia decide to take the tap. Not much point in looking for touch into this wind. Elias, who's been a danger from dummy half. Lyons, Meninga. Al Meninga pulled down on the 22. Roach. Short passes for Lyons. The ball's gone loose. couple of changes on the field for France. Tackled is Patrick Marginet, number 16. We've also got Biennes out there, Dennis Biennes has taken the place of Serge Brett. Valero. Judenol. Quick hands to Tessere. Tessere breaks into the open spaces. Good pass back inside to Lopez. The attack continues with Ontar. And the final pass taking it was Biennes. Good attack. Started by Tessere. 10 metres inside the Australian half. The penalty has gone to France, but they play on quickly. Molinare. Every time France have got an opportunity, they make the most of it. Ontar goes back. Still going backwards. Finally picked up by Biennes. Good backing up from France. They love to throw the ball around once someone makes half a break. Judenol, held by Lyons. Ontar looking for touch, and this will find touch 10 metres out from the Australian line. So at last a kick finding the line. Just haven't been able to use the freeze as effectively as they would have liked.
No, I don't think so, but they've put up a spirited performance this half. It's, Patrick Ontar has been their main playmaker, and he's had a great game, I thought.
French squad has been depleted. They've had a few of their best players, their most experienced players, retire in recent times. Hugh Ratier and Jean-Luc Rabot. As I mentioned, Guy Delaunay had also retired, but then made himself available for this test. And that little bit of experience and a lot more determination has put in a much improved performance, but they're still down by 24 points. And all those people who are tipping Australia by 50 points have been way off beam in this test. Mackay. Sargent. Strong run from Sargent right up the centre. Sargent has scored 6 tries on the tour. Here's Chris Johns. Johns really is showing some determination. He's enjoying his run in Test football. It's the 5th tackle. Lyons looking for Belcher. Belcher's cut through. Had men on the outside, but Dive had the path blocked. Still alive, though. Eddinghausen calls for it. Lyons kicks through. Pons going back. Should be able to cover it. Here comes Eddinghausen arriving, and Pons almost makes a disastrous attempt at gathering that ball in. Just manages to save what would have been a disgraceful effort. A very embarrassing effort, but he just managed to get it down in time. Australia 34, France 10. We've seen a few players with egg on their face once or twice today on both sides. I think this wind is really playing havoc with their judgment of a number of the players handling kicks. It's just so strong and straight down the field. Belcher. Meninga. Bobby Fulton paid tribute to Mal Meninga as a captain the other day. He said he has been a magnificent captain for Australia on this tour.
That's on and off the field too, mate. He's, you know, been great organising things for the players to do, and that any trouble happens, he's always there to back up the players.
So Shearer to play the ball. 15 metres out. Australia looking for another converted try to make the 40-point mark, which has really been what they've been achieving in most of these French games. They needed, I think it was 26 points to bring up 250 in France, so they've already done that. Hasler keeps it on the toe, spins around the upright, and that is full time. Referee Holsworth says to the players, you can leave this freezing, chilly field, and Australia has defeated France by 34 points to 10. The scoreboard has already changed, 34 points to 10. The players congratulating one another and now swapping jerseys. Valero there about to swap Molinare and Greg Alexander. 34 points to 10. And the try scorers for Australia, Mackay, Shearer, Alexander, Eddinghausen, Meninga, Mackay a second try, and then Steve Roach scored the last try of the series. Benny Elias there swapping with Thierry Valero. And for France, the try went to Cyril Pons. Goal kicking Mal Meninga, so I should say 2 tries to France with Pons and Ontar scoring. And then for France, the goal to Tesser. Meninga missed with 2 attempts. Alexander kicked 3 from 4 attempts, and Dale Shearer missed with 1. Alan Langer, I think you'll be pretty glad to get out of this commentary area and into a warm room.
Yeah, certainly. It's been a freezing cold day, and your legs and body just freezing to the bones. But it's been a great effort by Australia today, and a spirited effort by the Frenchmen.
Yes, it really was much more spirited effort from France, but Australia probably were just a notch below their best today. But the tour tells a story for Australia. The only loss was the first test in England. A magnificent effort right throughout. Congratulations to yourself and all the players.
Thanks.
So that's just about all from Perpignan. Thanks to my friend on statistics there alongside me, Michael Domain, the former president of the Vince Farah Club, keeping us up to date with the stats today. That's all from Perpignan. Congratulations to Australia on a great series.
Very much, Warren, and I guess by any measure the tour has to be regarded as a success. As Warren mentioned, the only game they lost, the first test against Great Britain, came back to retain the Ashes. But today, France losing by only 24 points. Michael, they lost by 56 the week before. They did look a 30-point better side.
Absolutely. I think that it was a far more respectable game, and let's face it, they did play a lot better, and they showed a lot of commitment, I thought, in defence, particularly in the first half. But in the second half, I think that on the French leg of the tour, I guess the Australians have picked up some French. They'd certainly know the meaning for he's yours after seeing that game tonight, and whenever Paul Sirenen got the ball, they were really quite worried about him.
And the French selectors obviously came up with a couple of better players. Delaunay, I think, was coming back from injury, but he made a difference in the centres.
Yeah, I think his experience was needed in the centres, and there's no doubt that Fraser's a fullback. He's not a 5'8". He scored a try in last week's test, but that's about all he did. But today I thought he had an outstanding game.
Let's have a look at the scoreboard for you. And Alexander today chalking up 100 points in France alone. For Australia, they're 34 points. Mackay, 2 tries. He scored 3 against France in Parks and 1 last week, so he loves scoring tries against the French. Shearer, Alexander, Eddinghausen, Meninga and Roach. Meninga, none from 2. Alexander, 3 from 4. Shearer, none from 1. And France scored 2 good tries and certainly deserved them. Pons and Ontar, and Tesser kicked 1 from 2. Well, just looking ahead to next year, Michael, the New Zealanders are coming out here to play. I guess you're looking to get back in the test side.
Well, obviously I'd like to, but it's going to be very difficult. It'll depend on form next year and on injuries, but you can only look at this particular tour from the point of view that it has been a marvellous success for Australia. They went over with a lot of pressure. They were beaten in the first test. They were under enormous pressure and strain in the second test. They got away with that one, and they wrapped up the series and then undefeated apart from that one game. And I think that obviously the standard has picked up in the 4 years, and it's really quite a creditable performance from Australia, and they should be congratulated.
I was just going to ask you to make the observation, say, compared to 86, is it just that they've been able to keep players together, or why has British Rugby League picked up?
Well, I think that they're obviously being influenced by the Australian coaches over there. Also the fact that they've got players that have been around for quite a while now, like Ellery Hanley, Andy Gregory, players of this calibre. They're world-class players. They play for a world-class side in Wigan, and they get quite a lot of exposure to international sides over there now. And I think that, the days are gone where the Englishmen, are sort of overweight and unfit when it comes to playing test matches, and they really are equal to any side in the world at the moment.
And French Rugby League, how do you think it stands?
Well, I couldn't go over the top about French Rugby League. I thought, they tried hard, and on their tour this year in Australia, they tried pretty hard too. But basically, they just don't have the players of the size and strength that Australia do, and the know-how. They probably played as well as they could have tonight, and they should be congratulated. They tried hard, but at the end of the day, they're streets behind Australia and the British.
Well, Michael, thanks very much for joining us in the middle of the night, 2 weeks in a row. I know it's no fun getting up, but it's been some entertaining rugby league, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Steve. I've enjoyed it.
All right, that's about it from us tonight, but all that remains is to let you know of some big sporting events coming up on ABC Sport. And starting next Friday, we're up to Palm Meadows up in Queensland for the Ladies Masters